Welcome back to Sacred Healing and Enchantment. This is your podcast for deep dive healing, connection, and embodied leadership. Whether you are a seeker, a professional healer, or a coach, this podcast will support you through topics like collective care, archetypal shadow work, and ancient embodiment. Each episode will offer you tools and insights to help you expand both personally and professionally. My name is Melanie Monaco. I'm a priestess and mentor. I created the first ever and top-rated self-love coach certification course. I've made over $1 million in my sacred business through courses, workshops, retreats, and more. And today's episode is more of a personal share because I will be sharing, along with my husband, the birth story of our daughter, Delia Luna, who we call Lunabelle. And this is a really joyful share. You can go back if you want to and listen to the birth story of my son that I recorded in 2022. If you feel so called, because we do reference that, though you certainly don't have to. That is a much longer story and a much more difficult story. This is pretty simple, straightforward, and peaceful. So if you want to listen to this birth story to hear how we prepared, what we did differently the second time around, and just this psychedelic magical experience, then this is for you. I think this would be a great podcast to listen to for anybody who is expecting or wants to eventually experience a empowering birth experience. Anybody who is curious about what home birth looks like or feels like, and anybody who is interested in and perhaps even just nosy and wants to hear some of our personal life. So I'm excited to share this with you. I've listened to a lot of birth stories myself, and I have to say this one's pretty straightforward. So it's short, it's about 30 minutes, and I think there are some really sweet takeaways, especially if you're somebody who wants to birth or support birthing people. And I hope that you enjoy. If you do have any questions or want any more information about the experience, you are more than welcome to send me a message on Instagram at Melanie Rose Monaco. I'm more than happy to chat about my experience, to offer insight if it's helpful. And I hope that you stay until the end for some special announcements. Enjoy. You ready for us to tell the story of how you were born? So I want to record this because we're, how many days postpartum? 12 days postpartum. And already the memories are starting to shift a little bit because it's a pretty psychedelic, trippy thing that happened. And I want to record it with you because I think there will probably be things you remember that I don't.
It's possible.
I feel like first I want to talk about like how we prepared differently.
Mm-hmm.
So with our first, we did like the basic childbirth education stuff, hypnobirthing. I did a lot of my own work in the natural birth community, but very much in the your mindset controls the entire experience ideology, which we found out through the experience that is not true. It's true if you have a straightforward experience, but if you don't, then it's not all in our control.
Yeah. Well, it's conflating, I don't know, intentionality and control with what can ultimately just be random luck.
Yeah, well, or my therapist who's a midwife, Athena, says it's like a natural phenomenon, and either you're going to have a natural phenomenon that's a rainbow, or you could have a natural phenomenon that's a tornado, and you don't get to choose. You just land in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably what Leo's our first experience was the conflicts of having providers who were not, in their words, on their A game. He was probably not in an optimal position, even though seemingly he was. I think his chin was like flexed in a weird way or something because I had back labor. And those two things, created a bit of a perfect storm where my body was really put under more stress trying to bring him through the birth canal. And we also felt not supported in the way we had anticipated.
Yeah, definitely.
So then going into the second, we were really intentional about finding I wanted to find the oldest, wisest, witchiest midwife I could find. And we found somebody who has attended 1,200 births. Yeah, she is the most experienced midwife in the state. And I wrote her a letter convincing her to take me on as a patient, even though she's retiring and wasn't taking on new patients. And then I was really focused on, my body, getting my body into optimal shape for Lunabelle to find her way through. So chiropractic care, pelvic floor therapy, a lot of my own stretching, following spinning babies, and the Miles circuit, which are two specific protocols. And I think all of that made a world of difference.
Yeah, and obviously just going through the experience once and knowing what worked and didn't work the first time around.
Yeah, and it's also possible, I could have not done chiropractic care and pelvic floor therapy and all of the specific stretching, and it still could have been exactly the same. Second births are just often more straightforward because the body has done it before.
Right.
But it, there's no way to know. It also probably helped. So
couldn't hurt.
It definitely didn't hurt. Okay, so I had been my midwife would disagree that I was in prodromal labor, but that is how I conceived of it. I was having contractions on and off for about a week that were not real labor, but felt more, what's wrong? Oh.
Yep.
And that entire week that I was having those contractions was such a purgatory. It was I every day had a moment where I was oh, it's gonna happen, this is it, it's gonna be tonight. Something would happen, I'd lose part of my mucus plug, or I'd have a really strong contraction, or I'd feel Lunabelle really nuzzling down through into the birth canal, engaging on a deeper level, and I'd be oh my gosh, this is it. And then another night would go by and it wasn't it. And I also just felt so inward, I just could not be bothered to be social at all.
Yeah.
Even with you. Mm-hmm. I just was I need to be by myself. I kept saying I feel I'm a cat that has to go birth in a closet, animals just go into a dark space. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly I think what I did for that week. And I just spent so much time stretching in different positions to engage Lunabelle into instigating labor. And I was doing the little things eating spicy food and dates and drinking the red raspberry leaf tea, though eventually I stopped that because Heidi, our midwife, was your uterus is really reactive right now. Mm-hmm. And
irritable uterus.
Yeah, an irritable uterus. And I collected colostrum, and I did all of the oxytocin things, and just trying to encourage my body to go into labor, while also just holding the patience for the divine timing of it all. Mm-hmm. And then, so a week went by, and then it started on a Saturday, and then the following Sunday, a week later, at 3 in the morning. Well, I guess I woke up at 1, which I had been waking up every night anyway. And I woke up to use the bathroom, and I just couldn't go back to sleep. And then I was like dozing, and then around 3 I rolled over onto my right side, and I felt the like pop, and my water broke. And I was sleeping in our bed with our 4-year-old Leo, and so I called you, and I was like, my water broke.
Yeah.
And it was so much water. It was like gushing. And I just like stood to the side of the bed because I didn't want it to get all over the bed, and waited for you to come. And you brought me towels, and then you just took Leo. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And then we put down some towels on the bed, and I got my peanut ball, which is kind of like a big exercise ball in the shape of a peanut. It's really helpful for birth and birth prep. And I was just on all fours, like with my elbows on the peanut ball, and I was listening to the beginning of my labor soundtrack, and I called both Isis, my cousin who was staying with us, who's a physician's assistant, and she was staying with us to help with the birth and birth prep. I called Heidi, of course. Heidi was the first person I called after you.
Our midwife.
Yeah. And then I called Isis, and then I called your parents to let them know, because the plan was for them to come get Leo. So everybody who was meant to be on call was alerted. And then it took a while for you to settle Leo back down, like an hour maybe. So I was by myself for that time, and I was just listening to my music and singing. This playlist that I made was all like songs that were easy to sing along to, that were inspirational, kind of like chanting songs, like A Beautiful Chorus and other similar things. I think the one that I was singing that whole first hour was, I'm holding these keys in my womb, in my womb, in my womb. That's like pretty much it, again and again. And then, so what happened with you? So you got Leo down?
Yeah, and eventually I think you called me again because things were progressing, and we decided I should have Isis try to come, cuddle next to Leo and keep him asleep so that I could be here with you.
Right. Yeah, I guess I should have said, like, not everybody whose water breaks goes into immediate strong contractions, but that is what happened with me. Like, they just started coming.
Yeah. Yeah, and so then I think at that time, that was also around when we told Heidi, our midwife, to head over.
Well, you were here for at least like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
because,
not too long.
But I remember the switch. So I remember going from like being able to talk in between contractions and feeling, excited and like alert and conscious, to then like I went nonverbal.
Yeah.
And when I went nonverbal, I was able to like recognize that as a turning point, and the contractions were intensifying, and I just felt like, okay, things are shifting.
Yeah. Yep, there's a definite shift, and that's when we called Heidi to come over.
Yeah, because she was 40 minutes away, so it's a good, give her a heads up time.
And yeah, you just kept going, leaning into it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, my intention was to like really not try to make myself comfortable, like with my labor with Leo. Like a lot of what I was doing was trying to like make the contractions feel easier and make myself more comfortable. And this time I was just like, let's go, because I wasn't, for whatever reason, in my educating myself the first time around, like I didn't read that sentiment of like, the more uncomfortable you are, the more the baby's pressing on your cervix, the more things are progressing. And that just wasn't in my consciousness the first time, versus the second time I was like, no, I need to go towards the uncomfortable pieces. And And we had the TENS machine.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I got the TENS machine
that was
set
amazing.
up, and that was really helpful.
Yeah, the TENS machine, I felt like just really allowed me to go towards the discomfort more easily, because when a contraction would come on, I would increase the intensity of the electrical stimulation on my back, which felt like it dispersed the awareness of the pain, where like instead of just being like, ouch, this is so painful, it was like, this is painful, and what's this other sensation happening? Mm-hmm. So it just gave my brain something else to focus on. And it has been proven to like decrease pain in labor. And I also want to say, like, I really went into this, like, having read Orgasmic Birth and listening to the Orgasmic Birth podcast and Pain-Free Birth and all of these protocols and places, communities, practitioners who are like really preaching the idea that birth doesn't have to be painful and can just be pressure and can be pleasurable. And so I was really open to that, and that was not my experience. Mm-hmm. Which is okay. Like, I'm not disappointed about that at all. It was incredibly painful. And, she was a nearly 10-pound baby, which I'm sure contributed to the intensity of everything.
Yeah. So Heidi got here.
Yeah, and I guess I'd been going in a different position. So I was on the peanut ball, like on all fours, and then I went on to the birth ball and I had the birth sling, which is kind of like an aerial silk, like a big long scarf that hangs from the ceiling, mm-hmm. that I wrapped around my chest so I could lean into that while on the birth ball, and that was a helpful position. It was like just 3 positions I did. It was the on all fours, sitting on the side of the bed, just like regular upright, which was such a random, surprising position that I took. Yeah. Just like sitting there. And then on the birth ball, leaning forward with the sling supporting me. That was it. Mm-hmm. And we rotated between those 3 positions for like a few hours. Yeah. And things just kept getting more intense, and I was making very primal low sounds. I was really thinking, because when I was laboring with Leo, singing really, really helped, like, ease my pain. And this mm-hmm. time, and it was specifically the princess pitch, like singing Disney songs, right. Like that particular register, like, helped so much. And this time it was like, I had to be like, ooh, like really, like primal low, sorry, mm-hmm. Startled the baby. Primal low, guttural moaning. Yeah. Which, bless you, mm-hmm. was what it was. Yep. And you were just like reassuring me through each contraction. You were like reminding me to relax, reminding mm-hmm. me to like go towards it, reminding me that it was good and productive. Yeah. And
you're just locked in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I also, when I would start to like notice myself resisting, or when it would get like to a place where it would feel unbearable, I would just start screaming yes, like to try to trick my brain into, which I learned from Orgasmic Birth, to try to trick my brain into like, saying yes, like this is good, this isn't bad, even though it felt pretty intense.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we had started getting the birth tub set up, ran the hose over. Takes a while to fill. I remember Heidi being really skeptical that we were even going to get it filled in time with how fast things seemed to be moving. Yeah. But yeah, it filled up enough for you, and you got in.
I was really hoping when I got in that like it would make things so much easier, but it didn't. It just was like continued to be more intense, which is okay. That's just what, I mean, birth often is. It just gets more intense as it goes. And then you get through it. But when we were in the water, I was able to do different positions though. So I was like mostly squatting and on my knees, and which I think was good. So I was moving around a bit more. And then at a certain point, I thought that I had to poop, but it was just pushing. Yeah.
And it just started.
I mean, that's what a lot of people say. You know, you think that like you're about to poop, but you're actually pushing.
About to push a baby out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then things moved really quickly. It was like, I think 25 minutes of pushing.
Yeah, it was really fast. It was not that many contractions. And I remember kind of being in disbelief. Heidi checked where Lunabelle's head was, and she's like, you could push this baby out in like 2 pushes. Like, you don't even, like, she's like, this baby, what did she say? This baby's going to push herself out?
Yeah.
Like, she was so low and engaged.
She was just making her way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that was, pushing, I, again, was fully prepared for that to be, like, the easier, fun part. Because that was my experience with Leo. But granted, I had an epidural pushing him out by that point. But I had heard anecdotally, like, a lot of women, like in Ina May Gaskin's Guide to Childbirth, which is, like, one of the most popular childbirth books ever, there's all of these stories of women being like, pushing was my favorite part. It was so fun. I started to feel like I had this relief and it wasn't painful anymore. So I was like, I was like, yes, let's get to pushing. Like, it's going to be easy, not painful. That was not my experience.
Yeah.
It was really, really intense.
It was really intense.
She has a huge head.
36 centimeters.
And like the average is 33. So.
And
what, big baby.
9 pounds, 12 ounces, I think. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was way more present, like myself, for this birth than for Leo's. And it was such a wild thing to witness. I just remember looking down into the tub and seeing her head peeking out.
Yeah.
Like, boggles the mind.
I know. So then, when I pushed her head out, because she had such... Oh. Yeah. You have something to say about it?
She had what?
She has such a big head.
Oh, it has a big...
Yeah. And so I asked... Because my intention was to catch her myself, but I could feel that, like, I just had to have my full energy and attention on pushing. Like, I wasn't going to be able, because Heidi was like, you need to get in a different position to catch her. And I was like, I like had to be in the, like, one knee was bent, I was on a shin, and then I had a foot propped up, like, kind of like a very consolidated lunge, I would say, like, or a half squat.
Yeah.
And I just knew, like, I had to really focus on pushing. And so I asked Heidi for help. And she swooped in, and so, in the final, I guess, push, like, I was waiting for another contraction to push her body out, but Heidi encouraged me to just push without the contraction, which wasn't the plan, but needed to happen just because Heidi could tell, like, she was really big, and we wanted to make sure that we weren't going to have any issues with, like, delivering her shoulders or anything. So
yeah, and it was a bit of a precarious position.
It was
Heidi being like, the way you're configured right now, you would basically, like, sit on your baby. So,
it was hard for her to reach in.
Yeah.
So, but it was the position I had to be in.
Yeah.
And I would, like, roared her out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never made that sound before, and I probably never will again.
Yeah, she just came flying right out at that point.
And then, Heidi caught her, and then her assistant passed Lunabelle through my legs to me, and I leaned back, and I was fully out of my body.
Yeah, it took you some moments to return to your
It took me, like, an hour, I feel like, to really get back in my body. But there's this thing that I saw on Pinterest when I was, like, collecting all of my, like, birth inspiration images and whatnot, and I have not fact checked this, but apparently it is said in some indigenous culture that when women are birthing, they leave their bodies, go to the stars, collect their baby, and then return. And I just kept kind of having that in my mind of, like, I am, like, doing this big psychedelic cosmic natural phenomenon thing. Yeah. And so I do really feel like I left I both was in my body feeling the excruciating pain and outside of my body at the same time. And I really like, when she arrived, like, I just was like, it was so out of it. I was like not fully there.
Yeah, I was just in awe of what you had just done.
Yeah, but I mean, she was so chill. Both of us were like, why isn't she crying?
I know, we were like worried at first
But
because
she was
Leo
fine.
came out like screaming, and yeah, she was like calm and still and quiet.
Yeah, she was so chill.
Yeah.
I mean, she still is very
And,
chill.
I mean, yeah, after the birth was just a very relaxed experience.
Yeah, it was
really
super peaceful.
Grateful for that.
Yeah, we were in the tub for maybe like 10 minutes to just like acclimate, and then we got out of the tub and I sat on a birth stool and delivered the placenta, which was wild because it was such a big placenta. Heidi was very like, she's like, wow, that's a big placenta. And then we got into bed, and she just like, she didn't even start like rooting, like wanting to nurse. Like, she just was so relaxed.
Yeah, she's just hanging out.
And so
happy to be here.
Yeah, and then eventually I offered her the opportunity to nurse, and she took right to it. And I think I also anticipated like having a more of a relief after giving birth. Like, I remember being like, I'm still in pain. Why am I still in pain?
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, it subsided eventually. But I was like still having, you know, contraction, cramping, and feeling the effects of pushing a nearly 10-pound baby out.
Yeah.
So that took a while to subside too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had cranberry juice and oatmeal.
Happy ending.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was, I remember like just, you know, right after she was born, like just being like, I did it. Like, we did it.
Yeah.
And then I sang Moon River to her, because that's her song that I was singing in utero, which we did for Leo too. We sang to him as soon as he was born.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was just like, I mean, home birth is so wonderful in that, like, you just get to go get cozy in your... Oh! All right, Sam had to leave, so I'm going to finish this. One of the reasons home birth is so nice is because you get to get cozy in your bed, and you get to... I like took a shower in my own shower. I got tucked in. I had all my own stuff. Like, it just was so chill. And in the hospital, like, people are checking on you constantly, like every 2 hours for like a day or two. And, you know, here the midwives hung out for a few hours and then left. They made sure we were all good, and it just was like so relaxing, and we just got to cuddle and nap and be in this newborn bliss looking at our girl, and it was so nourishing and so peaceful. And I feel like, I mean, I don't even think I could have transferred in the car to the hospital if we had even planned a hospital birth. Like, that would have been excruciating. I can't imagine. Like, the contractions were so intense. I cannot imagine transferring to a hospital intentionally. But I would say, like, even if home birth is more painful in that, like, you don't get the same options for pain management as you do in the hospital, it's well worth it for the postpartum experience, because it's just so much more relaxing, so much more peaceful, so much more in your control. Like, all of the things that I wanted to do, the immediate skin to skin, delayed cord clamping, I cut Lunabelle's cord myself, which was so cool. I got to just hang out with the placenta attached for a while, and like all of these things that are more rooted in like physiologic birth. It was really just ideal. So I would say, like, if anybody's thinking about a home birth, like, even if you think that it's more painful to have a natural birth, like, it's well worth it for the postpartum experience. It's just so much chiller. So much cozier, and it just stayed cozy and stayed peaceful, and now here we are almost 2 weeks later. And yeah, it was definitely intense, but it was peaceful, and both the most natural thing in the world and the most supernatural thing in the world at the same time. And I'm so grateful for it, and I'm so grateful to have my girl. At this moment in time of recording, I've been on maternity leave for about 6 weeks. So I started my maternity leave a month before my due date, knowing that the due term starts at 37 weeks pregnant, so a month before 40 weeks. Just in case I went into labor early, I wanted to give myself plenty of time to prepare, and I ended up having plenty of time because I went past my due date. So now I am starting to consider what it looks like to ease back into the business and ease back into the community and supporting you. And I would really love to hear from you what you are curious about diving into, especially in the next year in 2026. It's autumn now, but I'm looking ahead, and things that I'm considering offering are another round of the Sacred Method, which is my shadow work practitioner course, and it's a 7-month-long program. It's intense and empowering and transformative, and definitely an invitation into deeper healing. So if you're somebody who has done previous work, this is definitely a requirement that you have done previous healing work on yourself, whether that's been with a coach, a therapist, doing programs, retreats, etc. This is kind of next level. So if you're somebody who is excited to go to the next level in your healing journey and to do shadow work, which is essentially looking at the parts of yourself that you've exiled, the parts of you that are most unloved, to bring them into wholeness through love, this is for you. And it also guides you into being a soul retrieval practitioner, which is helping yourself and others become more embodied, meaning that you're bringing your soul self, your true self, your core self back into consciousness so that you're able to not only alchemize your pain, your suffering, life's hardships into meaning and purpose and understanding and completion, but you're also able to show up from a place of authenticity and unapologetic wholeness. So if you're curious to learn more about that, you can send me a message on Instagram at Melanie Rose Monaco, or send me an email. You can go to my website, melaniemonaco.com, and read about the program there. I also have the ritual facilitator and sacred ceremony training, which is all about how to lead rituals and ceremonies. And this is a bite-sized training where you can consume it all in 1 day or 2 days, or take bite-sized pieces over the course of a month. You can really go at your own pace. And it's super straightforward, but still very in-depth, which I've heard from people who've gone through this training that it feels like other trainings maybe have gate kept how to actually lead ceremony. Like they show up for the program and it's all just vibes, but this one is actually a practical framework. And it is the framework that I've developed in my own career. So I'm really excited to share that with you. You can also find that on my website, melaniemonaco.com. If you are curious about becoming a certified self-love coach, you are welcome to send in an application. Enrollment's currently closed, but if I see your application come through, I have had a few people while I've been on maternity leave reach out and be like, can I please start? And so I've actually had a few people come in through the back door of that training. So if you're curious about enrolling, you can also visit my website for that training. That is our 7-month-long self-love coach certification program that is internationally accredited. And if you want to create your own self-love course, I have a Done For You program, which essentially is a fill-in-the-blank, record your own self-love course. It's 3 modules, 21 lessons, and is my way of taking some of my most foundational and transformative self-love practices, protocols, worksheets, coaching methods into a way for you to insert your own magic and weave in your own authentic intelligence and brilliance and repackage it to sell and offer to your community. So if you're somebody who's been wanting to create a course, but you just don't know where to start, this is for you. Again, you can find that on my website, melaniemonaco.com. And Finally, the Guided Rituals app and membership, which is a library of over 150 bite-sized rituals, and they're all 20 minutes or less. You can use it as your daily oracle, your daily meditation practice. You can listen to it while you're driving to work or doing the dishes or whatever else, just in a way for you to access inspiration and weave in ceremony into your daily life. Those are all the ways you can work with me now, except the Sacred Method would be starting next year. So I would love to hear from you. If there's anything else that you are curious about experiencing, anything else that you're curious about learning more in depth, and you want my mentorship in, I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts as I am percolating and considering what offerings I will be creating and curating in the next year. So truly, I'd love to hear from you. Again, you can send me a message on Instagram, or you can email me, melanie@melaniemonaco.com. I love you so much. Thank you for listening, and I am sending you blessings and so much love.